students, welcome to my channel. I am Mayank Mishra. In previous video we have studied about the waves, in which from our topic movements of the ocean water, from our chapter the water world. So in this video we will start a new topic, tides. So what are tides, how these tides are caused, what is neap tide, spring tide, everything we will study in detail in this video. So basically in this video we will study that what is the tide. So do you know what is tides? Tide are the rhythmic rise and fall of water from water of ocean. It is rhythmic rise and fall of water. I explain like at 8 a.m. in morning, the water level is at 10 meter. 10, the water level is at 10. But in that at evening, 3 p.m. it rises to 15. And next day at 10 a.m. it rises to 5. So this rhythmic rise and fall at 10 a.m. the water was at 10 point, and 3 p.m. it rises to 15, and then next day it rises to 5. So this rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water is known as tides. So now study the definition of tides. Sea water rises up shore at a certain time. It rises at 8 a.m. it was 10, and at 3 p.m. it was 15. So it rises at a certain point of a day and record and recedes at regular intervals. That recedes, if they 15, recedes means to rise and fall, because recede means fall. If the water was 15, then it recedes to 5. At next day at 8 a.m. it recedes to 5. So this recedes so at regular intervals 5, 10, and this process continue at regular intervals. This rhythmic rise and fall, of level in sea known as tides. This rhythmic rise and fall is known as tides. So if 5, 10, 15, so this is the rhythmic, not that after 2 months to 2 years, not. It is day after day rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water. It is not that if the water goes at 15, it's still at place, and after 2 years then it downs. No, it is the rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water. So you have understand how these what are tides. So now understand what. So and there is one more topic. The tides are of two types: low tide and high tide. Low tide and high. So tides are of two types: high tide and low tide. Low tide and high tide. So by the name you understand what is high tide and low tide. The low tide means that when the water it is at its minimum point. The water when it is minimum point, and it will not maximum down. So it is at the minimum point. As you can see, the water is in minimum point. But in the other hand, the high tide is the water that is its maximum point. As you can see, the water in this picture is far from the tree, but in the high tide it is very close. The water touches the stem of the tree, so it is high tide. So the high tide is the maximum point of the water that in a day is called high tide. So the high tide. So you have to understand what is tide and what are the parts of tide. What are the types of tide, low tide and high tide. So now understand what causes tides to rise and fall. What are the factors that cause tides. So these tides are caused due to gravitational force of moon and the sun. These tides are caused due to gravitational force of moon and the sun. I explain. Suppose it is earth, and this is moon, and this is sun. Once again, this is sun, moon and earth. So as you know that sun and moon has its own gravitational force which pulls earth towards them, but the earth is still at its place because of the sun's gravitational force. So it is rolling, revolving the sun because of the sun's gravitational force. So the earth cannot be moved can't be moved from his place, but the sun the moon pulls our earth towards the earth, but the earth still is at its place. So the water that the water so the moon cannot pull the earth. So the water that from the earth water from the earth bludge, and from north pole and south pole the water from the facing towards the moon, the water as like this bulge like system. So this is called high tide and low tide. High tide when the moon's gravitational force pull the earth. Moon gravitational force pull the earth. Moon's gravitational force pull the earth. These moon pulls the water, but it can't pull all the water. So the water that not it fly in the water fly in the air and go to the sun moon. No, some of the water bulge. It doesn't go anywhere, but it is collected at a place from where the moon's gravitational force is attached to. So these water make a bulge at a place and make some high place like this. In this picture we can understand that there is no gravitational force by the moon, and by the gravitational force it is making like a bulge and pulling up and rising. So this is called the gravitation. This is called the tides. So and the sun also like this. Sun also attracts the water. So the water make a bulge like so the water some go away. It doesn't go anywhere, but some the water goes away from the away. So this is make a bulge like a system. So like this the water is at this point, but in the gravitational force of moon and sun it goes to its higher or maximum point. So I hope you understand this topic, the tides. Now let's move to what are spring tide and neap tide. So now we have understand what is the tides, what are the two types of tides, how these tides are caused. Now in this now we will study what is spring tide. What is spring tide? What is spring tide and what is neap tide? Both things we will study in this now. So firstly we will study spring tide. What is spring tide? So some of you will say the spring tide in the tides that occur in spring. No, spring tide is a name, and you will it is spring tide during the full moon and new moon. The earth and moon and the sun are in the straight line. So the combined gravitational force pull that is called spring tide. Pull and it is when with the combined gravitational force it is there in high tide. High tide. When there is a combined gravitational force, it will have high tide and it is called spring tide. So during the full moon and new moon. So what do you understand by full moon and new moon? So as you can see in the picture, it is sun, moon and earth. So the full moon is the moon. Firstly we will understand new moon. What is new moon? The moon in which the moon which is in between of the sun and the earth. As you can see in the picture, this moon is in between the earth and the sun. So this is called new moon. The new moon doesn't we can't see new moon. As you can see in the picture, this is new moon, full moon, and by turning it is new moon. It is full black and we can't see this. We can't see them. It is called new moon. But what is full moon? The full moon is opposite of this. Like the new moon is between earth and the sun, but the full moon is beside to the earth. This means that the moon that is in the between of sun and the moon there is earth. In the between sun and the moon there is earth. It is called new moon. But in the between of sun and earth, the moon is called new moon. The moon in between of sun and the earth is called new moon. But the earth, when the earth is between sun and the moon, is called a full moon. So I hope you understand what is full moon and new moon now. Now the earth, moon and the sun are in straight line. As you can see in the picture, sun it is sun and it is moon, So these are in straight line. As you can see, the sun, moon, and the earth are in the straight line. So this is called springtime. And as I have told you that the moon has its own gravitational force. Moon has its earth, moon, and sun. So the moon, as you can see, these are in a straight line. So when the moon has its own gravitational force, so it pulls water towards him. So the water is like a bulge. But and earth, sun is also it has gravitational force. So the sun also has gravity and pulls the water. So this is called, and this occurs high tide, and the water makes very big bulge. So these two heavy bodies pulls the water towards earthward. So the water make a bulge. So water make a bulge, and this is called high tide. And there it will be a high tide. And these tides we will call it as spring tide. When the moon, sun and the moon are in straight line and pulls the water is called spring tide. And it is not only when the new moon, it is also when the full moon is also exists, like this. One second. When the moon is in full, so this is also in the straight line. This is also in the straight line. So the sun pulls the water from these two heavy bodies pulls water from left and right. Moon pulls from this side, and the sun pulls from this side. So this make both sides bulge. This makes both sides bulge. The water is pulling by the both left and right side. So the water makes bulge. So on these both sides the water is making bulge. So this is called high tide, and the water when it's bulge when the sun and moon and the earth is a straight line, and it is called a spring tide. And the sun, earth and moon. So from the both sides the water is making bulge. So this is called spring tide. So I hope you understand what is spring tide. Now let's move to neap tide. So now let's study that. Now we have studied that what is spring tide. Now let's study about the neap tide. What is neap tide? So in the first and last quarter, the ocean water is pulled diagonally opposite by Dyson gravitational force of sun and moon in results of low tide called neap tide. So as you can see in the first and last quarter, it means that when the moon it is first and last quarter, when the moon is half, so the sun at its place. So the sun's pull, as I have tell you, the sun and the moon both pulls the water. So when these are in the straight line spring tide, these pulls the water. When these are in diagonally, what will happen? The sun will pull water towards him, and the moon will also pull water towards him. So what will happen? If the sun will pull water, moon is also pulling that water. So the water can't go anywhere. If the water will go to moon, then at the sun will also pull the water. So the water cannot go anywhere, and this in results of low tide, in which the tide is not happen. So this is called low tide, and in this results of neap tide. And by another hand, it is also like this, like in this position when the moon is in half. So the moon pulls the water towards him, and the sun also pulls the water towards him. So the water can't go anywhere because of the both gravitational force pulling towards. So the water still at its place. So this cannot go anywhere. This results of low tide. And low tide in spring tide the water was in high tide, but in neap tide the water is in low tide, opposite. And this is called when the both heavy bodies pulls the water towards him. So the water cannot go anywhere. So this is called neap tide. So I hope you have understand this whole topic, tides. So now in this video, I hope you have understand spring tide, neap tide, high tide, low tide, what is tide, how tides are formed, etc. These things I hope you will understand. So now in our next video we will understand what are ocean currents. So till then, thank you. Save tree, save water.